Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I do welcome you to the live Real Talk this Friday. Of course, if I can take you back, you see, for the 7th time, the Senate could not actually agree on a consensus for the revenue allocation of the counties. And on the 4th of August, if you can remember, the Senate had to be adjourned for the honorable members to actually come to a consensus and a way forward, with the latest proposal being that of Senator for Nairobi Johnson Sakaja's that's still standing. Let's take a look. Now, if my director of Tumbo Suleiman there, you can get us Honorable Sakaja's proposal.
Is that no county should lose a shilling of its allocation, and Mr. Speaker, the formula then kicks in once we've devolved enough money to go to the counties, Mr. Speaker. And so, Mr. Speaker,
Senators who are standing, please find where to sit, because it's you are.
So, Mr. Speaker, the formula is that for any amount of 316.5 billion and below, the allocations shall be as per the 2019-2020 allocations to counties, and that doesn't change. If your county had 8 billion, you'll have a minimum of 8 billion. If your county had 10 billion, you'll have a minimum of 10 billion. Any amount above that, Mr. Speaker, will then be applied based on the formula.
Yes, now that's the proposal Honorable Senator for Nairobi Johnson Sakaja had. And this, of course, is termed as the violation of the 1 shilling, 1 man, 1 vote ideology that's actually being fronted by most of the members from central Kenya, while other counties, especially from the northeastern province, actually stand to lose. Now, tonight we delve into this matter and also into the understanding of this matter and the way forward. Joining us definitely is economics professor from the University of Nairobi, Professor Salah Abdi Sheikh, and as well as Kilifi Senator Honorable Stewart Madzayo with me tonight in the program. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Now remember, you can join in the conversation on our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is at HorizonTV Kenya, or you can talk with me directly on my WhatsApp, or rather on my Facebook there at Mariam Kassim. Now let's begin. Dr. Salah, Honorable Sakaja actually tried to demystify the 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote philosophy. In your perspective, do you think he got it?
Let's first correct the title that you have given me. I'm not a professor of economics at the University of Nairobi. I'm a certified public accountant and a university lecturer. So
right.
I think that sets straight.
I beg your pardon. Thank you very much.
I think he has an idea. If you follow a way of being equitable, as well as taking into consideration the concerns of people from Mount Kenya, I think and it's the same idea that some of us had, that there should be a minimum amount of funds that should be, devolved. Let's say 10 billion. The first billion is everybody gets the 10 billion. Then the population and other factors come in after that, after the first 10 billion. So I think he has an idea, and it could help lock the emphasis has been around last 7 cities of the Senate.
So you actually think that his idea could work if it would pass?
Yeah, his idea could work, because it does not disadvantage anyone in the first 10 billion. If you say, I'm taking 10 billion as a figure, as an example,
yes.
This figure.
Yes.
But if we say like 10 billion is fixed, it's not subject to any other factors, then factors like land, factors like development, factors like population, factors like historical issues now kick in after the first 10 billion. Then what happens is everybody is taken care of. And those who say that we have a lot of people, we have a population in our counties, we need more funds, could also be taken care of in this manner. This country had historical underdevelopment in the north, in the coast, part of eastern, and the equalization fund that was supposed to bring them in line with the rest of the country has not been allocated well yet. And if you start reducing the allocation of revenue to places where there has been historical underdevelopment, then you create inequities in the future. So I think he has an idea, but how that idea now can be put as a proposal on the table, we have not seen yet.
Okay, so let me now take a concern now, Keen, to Honorable Stewart Madzayo. When a senator, you came out strongly to actually oppose this. Give us an understanding as to why.
My reasons are very clear. First and foremost, the secessional paper number 10 had very good ideas. But I think at some stage it was thrown out of the window. When independence was attained, it was agreed that the areas that are not developed, they would rely on the areas that were more developed.
Yes.
And then all the funds would be sent to the areas that were developed. And then those areas would be in a position to help the areas that were not developed. But that idea was thrown out of the window, and the areas that were developed kept on developing, and the areas that were marginalized stayed as they were marginalized up to today. When we started the Constitution in 2010,
yes,
it was made very clear that devolution that would be entrenched in our Constitution, and it would be there, and it would be welcomed as part and parcel of that Constitution. All Kenyans were one people, one country. But what surprises me now,
yes,
that formula, the third generation that was brought in by Senator Kibicho, who is the chairman of Finance, of Kirinyaga, he's from Kirinyaga County, was very unfortunate because it was full of mischief. It took us back to the time where the marginalized areas would stay back as they were, to develop as they kept on developing since we attained independence. That was a point of departure. And that is why I oppose that formula seriously. Take an example.
yes,
Of the coast region.
yeah,
We've never had a university until I think the last 3 years. And we are very fortunate, maybe it's only one county, and that is Kilifi and Mombasa. I will ask you one thing. Is what county part of Kenya? Is Mandera part of county? Part of and so is Lamu, Tana River, Taita Taveta, Garissa, Mandera, Marsabit, Wajir, Isiolo, and so is Turkana. These are counties that are in this country.
Yeah.
And the saddest part, these counties are being denied their rightful share, as my brother Professor said, that each county, whatever they are getting, they should not lose from the revenue allocation. So my argument here will be that as far as we are concerned, are public funds that we are going to deal with in terms of revenue allocation. Now, if we are going to allocate these funds to the counties, then each and every person must get an equal share of these public funds. There shouldn't be any other Kenyan who is more superior than the other.
It's very interesting that you actually mentioned that, Mheshimiwa, because actually taking a look at what Dr. Salah has actually told us, that some counties have some historical injustices. Take an example, Lamu County, Kilifi County, Mombasa County, very well known for drug, and drug abuse is actually bringing down the youth. So this is definitely different as compared to Nairobi County and other parts of Central, as well as other parts of the country. So if you actually say, maybe if the county revenue should be allocated per person to get an equal amount, don't you think, maybe if I can take Dr. Salah's attention to this, Dr. Salah, don't you think that this is actually impractical?
You know, you have to understand the historical context of allocation of resources in this country.
Yes.
The Senator mentioned sessional paper number 10. I don't know whether that one of 1965, which was African socialism and its application to planning in Kenya. We said that revenue should be allocated to areas of high productivity, and areas of low productivity should just be given, token revenue. If you look at that frame of revenue allocation, you will see that North Kenya and northeastern, the so-called northeastern province, the three is now Wajir, and Garissa. Between 1990, we allocated around 180 million for development. That is 30 years, 180, and most of that money was actually spent on security. So you see, you look at the central, the framework of resource allocation in Kenya is more of farming, centric. It's a country which it's led by farmers, and the old powers was with the farmers, agricultural farmers. I mean crop farming. And people like pastoralism and fishing, people who are in other forms of economic activity were just on the periphery until 1990. So if you look at the historical context, you mentioned Lamu, you mentioned Kilifi, you mentioned Mombasa, and Mombasa even. It looks like even now the port, the revenue from the port and the advantages and the employment, all that is now coming to inland rather than the port. So if you look at that framework, it's not a based revenue allocation on population without looking at that there is no Thika road in Mandera, there's no Thika road in Garissa or Marsabit. There is no 50% of the revenue is for counties. What happens to the other 300? The other 85%. The other 85% is actually spent within the centralized idea of allocating resources to the more potentially more productive regions. So it just is you are central the amount senators are fighting for. Equalization, county allocation, but they're not looking at what happens to the other 85%. Should
Yeah.
the other 85% also be allocated on the basis of counties so that people find, just in the revenue resource allocation in this country? We have to look at these things, historical context, and we have to look at to remedy the development inequities that existed for the last 6 decades.
And if I can bring Mheshimiwa's attention to that exactly. Mheshimiwa, what is your point of view on what Dr. Salah has just told us?
I agree totally with what Dr. Salah is saying. Particularly where you have mentioned Mombasa.
Yeah.
Mombasa is a vein of the coast. So when you attempt to kill Mombasa, you are definitely killing the coast. The entire 6 counties that rely on Mombasa for economical survival. Or I'm saying not even assuming. It is a fact that Mombasa is a dead city now. Because there are no more activities there in Mombasa. Port was the only place where everyone from the coast derived an economic gain.
Yeah.
When now it was removed from Mombasa, it was a shock. Basically, I've never heard of any seaport being taken away and create a dry port elsewhere in inland. So you can imagine the impact that the people of Mombasa and coast have felt. Jobs have been lost.
Yes.
It's a fact. Hearing and forwarding. All offices have been closed. Now they have moved to Nairobi and Naivasha. The most unfortunate part, when you say you've moved the port to Naivasha, in terms of being able to manage the port activities from Naivasha, I was in Naivasha myself. There is nothing in Naivasha. The port was thrown somewhere in my in a forest somewhere there, where there is no development at all. Accessing that place is a problem. Now, secondly, come to Mombasa. What is it? And so it affects the entire coastline. Now, when there's no job, there's no tourism, which people.
Yes.
And finally, historical injustice in terms of land. All the land has been acquired.
Yes.
All the beach areas and whatever you can call it have been taken by people not from the coast. And even locally, some land have been grabbed and people have been rendered landless.
Yes.
Sometimes I find myself spending more effort in protestation, removing squatters, than trying to get the squatters the land. Because they're unjustifiably being arrested and thrown into jail.
Yes.
Yet they have been thrown out of their land, historical areas where they have occupied for years. Now, people have become landless at the coast. You are told if you want a beach float, go and see the president.
Yes.
I've never seen that anywhere in the world. Where you live, God has given you or granted you the right to live there. The Constitution allows you to stay anywhere you want to stay. But you have seen what has happened.
Yeah.
If there is any place in Kenya where there are so many thousands and thousands of squatters, land squatters,
yes,
then that is the coast.
It's very
The
interesting that
areas
you bring
where
that
they have
up.
not been, the areas that have not been adjudicated is Northeastern Province. All the counties which I have told you earlier.
Yes, I'll get back to,
And therefore, we are
to
saying
you
this
on
is
that point,
simple justice.
Mheshimiwa, if I can
If
just...
we are all Kenyans, then the distribution of public resources must be done equally. The issue of one man, I don't know, one sense to me at all.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you actually bring that up, Mheshimiwa. Let's take a look at what Wycliffe Oparanya actually said about the equity of revenue allocation.
As Council of Governors, we have given our position that we feel that no county should lose because the counties have already done their budgets. However, those counties that will lose if the formula is passed, they should be cautioned, either through a special fund provided for by the national government or the equalization fund.
We note that the equitable share allocation to county governments for the fiscal year 2020-2021 remained at the same level as that of the financial year 2019-20. That is 316.5 billion. This particular factor makes cushioning the losing counties impractical.
Yaani shida ni kwamba kuna wale ambao wanataka pesa igawe kulingana na wingi wa watu. Kuna wale ambao wanasema wanataka pesa igawe kulingana na ukubwa wa ardhi. Kwa hivyo hapo ndio malumbano iko.
And that's true, hapo ndio malumbano yapo. Of course, if I can come to you, Daktari, you know, revenue allocation is actually usually reviewed every 5 years. And as provided by the Constitution, Article 217, if I can take a look at it here, Division of Revenue, Chapter 1, it says, once every 5 years, the Senate shall, by resolution, determine the basis for allocation among the counties, the share of national revenue that is annually allocated to the county level, rather, of government. But you see, what's funny is that, Daktari, the current proposal is that counties that appear to be actually Muslim dominated seem to be losing. Do you think that this is by design, Daktari?
I think it has some parts of design and some parts of sheer negligence by the counties themselves. If you look at from 1963, you know, we're not talking about now. We're talking about 6 decades of revenue allocation, which disadvantaged groups and give other groups, you know, advantaged other groups.
Yes.
So if you look at the development, you know, the differences in development in Kenya, the areas that are developed through the national government are mostly areas with farming potential, crop potential, as I said before. The areas released and other potential were left out because there was the jangili kind of thinking. You know, the idea that these people are, you know, they used to call people from the Eastern are just jangili looking at camels, and people of the coast are just fellows sitting near the sea. You know, that idea itself.
Yes.
Which you know, which people think that it's just a matter of saying. No, don't just say that. When it comes to people of sharing, that thinking, farming thinking, which ignores other economic activities, comes to the table without the corresponding, thinking of all of us are equal, all of us are Kenyans. And actually, farming doesn't necessarily mean that it produces more than the rest of the country.
Yes.
So you need to worry about my young son is having his good time here.
That's very okay. Please pass our regards to him.
When you have so let me come back to which is we have to come to the table. We have to come to the sharing table. We have to, like, what is happening is suddenly people are surprised when people from the coast, people from the north, people from Turkana, people from Marsabit, start agitating for a rightful share of the natural resources. You know, they have been schooling for the last 6 decades. Now, there's a group of intellectuals that say, no, it's not going to be the way it used to be, where you dictate how revenue is collected through, you know, census which has been, you know, disputed. You know, if you look at the Kenyan census, it was used to achieve a particular political end. At one point, I read the census, the Somali community, Somali, all 7,000 Somalis, while sub-clans of Somalis were like 500,000. So that idea is not an idea. It's an idea that has been used to you know, share resources, to marginalize others, to think that people are more Kenyan than others. You know, the way the Honorable Kangata was speaking, it's like he owns the country, and the rest of us are just, you know, sitting in you know, refugees or other, you know, hangouts at this country who cannot say that we own a share in this. So that thinking should be defeated. The thinking that some areas should get more, some more Kenyan, actually be defeated at the Senate, and then the Senate will not allow it to continue, because Kenya is one country. Our unity, our development depends on that, you know, all care of the part of Kenya, and public formula, equitable, just.
Yes, Daktari, that is very interesting that you have brought that. Allow me to just take a short break right now. When we come back, I'll actually bring in the fact about census, because there has a question here that has come in from one of our viewers asking about the census and if there is politics behind it. So let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Remember, you can tune in on our social media platforms and also give your comments on our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Do not touch that dial.
Isha Adhan, Nairobi City Time.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
O Allah, Lord of this perfect call and established prayer, grant Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, the intercession and favor, and raise him to the honored station you have promised him. Verily, you do not fail in your promises.
Welcome back. Definitely, this is the live real talk. We're talking about revenue allocation for the counties, and as it stands right now, you know that there has not been any way forward with Honorable Sakaja's proposal still standing. I have with me in studio today Senator for Kilifi, Honorable or Mheshimiwa Stewart Mazayo, together with Dr. Abdisala, who we've been together here also talking about revenue allocation, and we've talked about historical injustices. Definitely you can join in the discussion on our social media platforms. On Facebook, Instagram and Twitter is at HorizonTV Kenya. Welcome again, gentlemen. If I can bring that question to you, Daktari, and then take it back to Senator there. Somebody is asking here, definitely a lot of times when we do the census, most of the counties, especially from the northern of Kenya, they usually refute the numbers. Do you think, ask to the Senator, this question is addressed to the Senator. Senator Mheshimiwa, if you can answer us, do you think that the numbers are usually skewed on purpose during the census just so this particular revenue allocation issue can benefit some of the citizens in the country?
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay.
To fulfill the wishes of those people who want to control resources in this country. And I think it's the most unfortunate of approaching issues if we are to develop as one country. And as the has put it, Salah, and where we consider ourselves as marginalized people, I find it also very unfortunate that the areas where Muslims are serious population, counties of Muslims who and they're losing.
I cannot get you clearly. I think you changed the position where you were sitting. Yes, Mheshimiwa.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Mheshimiwa, I can get you clearly.
So what I'm saying, why profile areas where they are Muslim dominated? Take an example of Kilifi.
Yes.
Where I don't only lead one section of religious group. I lead across board. I've got Muslims who are controlling 50% of the population of Philippines. And other areas also, like Kuala, which is 100% Muslim. Mombasa, same. Lamu also 100%. Tana River equally, almost 80 to 20%. And then you move areas like Garissa, which is 100%. Isiolo.
Yes.
I think it's the most unfortunate thing that we have decided to go that direction.
So, Senator, if I can ask you, yes, if I can bring your attention now, we know that you are in opposition of the formula. How would you have it otherwise? What is your proposal? How would you have it?
First and foremost, I agree to the proposal that what the government cannot add any more money than what we have already.
Okay.
316.5 billion.
Yes.
For this year.
Yes.
And therefore, that is the money that we need to divide the way we did in the year 2018-2019. Since when we came into this Senate in 2013, no senator has lost in terms of going home with an increment. It is the first time that counties are beginning to lose and others are beginning to gain. My argument would be that there shouldn't be any winners or losers.
Okay.
Let's divide as we did last year. And then whatever will come later on, after we have gone through the Suriname and the BBI goes through, which I'm very confident that it will go through, which was chaired by Mzee Haji, Senator Haji. And there I respect so much. I consider him basically my father. And it is going to be agreed by all Kenyans that that is the direction that we are going to go.
Okay.
And therefore, if at all that is going to be agreed upon, as from next year, then we shall see the fruits of that BBI. Because then funds will be added.
Yes.
And then from then on, another formula which is very friendly, like the Sakaja formula, or any other formula that can be adapted together with the Sakaja formula, then we shall find a way forward. There should be no county losing any funds whatsoever.
Okay.
That is my take.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Let me come to you, Daktari, and ask you, how do you think is the best way to actually divide the 316.5 billion, especially you being an accountant and also considering the pandemic that has actually affected the country for all this year? How would you divide the revenues?
Let's start with the baseline, which gives the 2019 to 2020 allocation.
Yeah.
Which everybody got a certain amount, and the counties have budgeted along the same lines. So if you use this line, then you can use any other parameter like population, land, historical injustices, other development priorities, and even the pandemic as an extra upon what was there for the counties in 2020. That will make sense. The second thing, everybody's shouting BBI. I think the government does not need BBI to increase the revenue counties. It doesn't need any constitutional amendment to increase resources for the counties. Actually, tomorrow morning, the government can decide to give the counties 35% of the annual revenue, without ever to all this, change of the constitution, all that. From my perspective, marginalized community should be very wary of changes to the constitution. Okay. Any marginalized community from the coast, from Upper Eastern, from other communities within Nairobi and other places, we should be wary of. We should be very scared of any attempt to change the constitution of Kenya 2010, because any attempt to change the constitution is attempt to water down the gains that we have made in the last 10 years. I think politicians will play the game of looking at sharing positions and creating new positions and changing the mode of government. All that. I think the constitution is this. Yeah. It has given a baseline which this country can follow. It has given rights to the people of Kenya. It has given equalization fund to the people who are marginalized. It has given rights to the women. It has given rights to the disabled. It has given rights to communities of religion. I don't think we can start improving it within 10 years. So the idea that we are going to change the constitution and the BBI, all that, I think any person who is from the coast, from the north, from Turkana, from parts of Rift Valley that is highly marginalized, the pastoral communities, the Nubian community, the other communities that are marginalized and are considered minorities or considered left out in the historical allocation of resources and rights in this country, should be wary of any attempt to dilute the constitution. Do not accept the constitution to be abused, to be changed, to be watered down. Any attempt to increase executive power should be opposed and opposed with every way possible. So we should have the constitution as it is. Let it play out. Let it be implemented. The Kenya government has the idea of changing the constitution when they have not implemented it fully. So I feel that the idea of BBI and all this is highly premature, and the people who are trying to change have that. They can give us 35%, and that's not me who's saying. Today I was seeing one of the lawyers who actually crafted the constitution saying the same thing. You don't need constitutional change to increase the allocation of revenue. So the second thing is we should not decrease the power of devolution. We should not rein in devolution. We should increase devolution. The government should use its executive power to take more services to the counties rather than less services. People who are saying that health should be brought back to the national government, that is the centralization idea that has marginalized people for 6 decades. So anything that centralizes the allocation of resources and the power in this country should scare people like us, people who are in marginalized communities, who are who have been on the periphery for 6 decades, should be wary of BBI and anything to do with it.
Yeah, let me bring your attention, gentlemen, to what Honorable Raila Odinga had to say about the Commission for Revenue Allocation and its job and what it should do for different counties. Let's take a look.
What we are talking about is not equality, we're talking about equity. Equity in terms of allocation of resources. And that's the reason why Commission for Revenue Allocation was created in the Constitution. But that commission looks at several factors and comes up with a formula to allocate resources to ensure that no particular region suffers under development. That is the work of the CRA. Now, when I wrote an article, I talked about CRA. At that time, I just come back from Dubai. I did not even know that the CRA report had been changed by the Committee of Parliament. Okay? It had been changed, and counties were benefiting at the expense of others. No, but the reason why this was happening is because the government, because of the state of the economy today, was not adding more money to the counties. It's stuck at 316 billion shillings. And this is in a 3 trillion.
Yes, of course, famously known as Baba there, he says that the CRA was actually changed by Parliament. Now, if I can come to that point to you, Senator, what do you think was the motive behind this change? Before I can give you a question here.
Well, I agree with what Baba has said, 100.
Let's go back to Daktari. I think Senator Kidogo had to kupati vizuri.
How unipati?
Yes, now I can get you clearly. What do you think was the motive behind the change of the CRA?
Well, whoever directed it, I think knows why.
Yeah.
But I think I want to agree with Baba Kole that the spirit behind the whole thing is where everyone can benefit at this particular time. We understand there are quite a number of challenges. And whatever has been allocated, 316.5, is what we have available. And therefore,
Senator, we're losing you there, I think, because of the network. Daktari, if you can quickly take that up and tell us, what do you think was the motive behind the change? And also a question here that has come to you directly. Somebody here asks, Daktari, if you can tell us, do you think that actually Parliament is an independent institution or just a branch that executes or rubber stamps what the executive says?
come again on that.
Actually, I was directing this to Daktari before I get back to you, Mheshimiwa. Daktari, if you can tell us the motive behind the change for the CRA, as the Baba said that he went through it and when he came back from Dubai, he saw changes. What do you think was the motive behind it? And somebody here asks, rather, do you think that Parliament is an independent institution or it's just a branch of the executive that just rubber stamps what the executive says?
I think the intention of the Constitution was to create equity,
yes,
and create independent institution. And the Constitution actually focuses on institutions rather than individuals and regions. The intention of before I talk about Raila's change of heart, let me talk about the other question, which is I think more important.
Yeah.
Which looks at the Constitution and the role of the Parliament.
Yes.
You know, the Parliament is supposed to be independent lawmaking body.
Yes.
But then Parliament is confused with its role. They have confused the party with the executive. They have confused their roles in the parties and their roles in the executive, and the executive and the role of the executive. The party members think that they are the executive, which has become a bit muddy. So the role of the Parliament has been taken over by the executive because the parliamentarians of the ruling party thought that they are part of the executive, which is not actually the intention of the Constitution. Yeah. They are supposed to hold the executive to account. So now, what has happened in the last 10 years is Parliament has become sort of irrelevant because they cannot hold the to account. They are always singing the praise of the executive. They can be loyal to the party, but that does not necessarily mean that they have to take the position of the executive at all the time. They can agree with them at certain point and disagree with them on the other. That's why you see the corruption has become so endemic. The kind of corruption we're getting now is worse than under dictatorship.
Yes, clearly.
The other thing, you have to look at the role of the Senate. Senators are supposed to be above the noise and the partisanship and the division of parliament. They're supposed to be a bit superior to, because they're only 47 and they represent a county. If the parliamentarians represent a constituency. Yes, the constitution gives parliament a specific role in the budget and all that. But what has happened is parliament has eroded the role of the Senate. They have been reduced to a house that makes very little noise, and probably the only role now they're doing is revenue allocation rather than advocating for revenue increase for the counties. And increase of power and authority for the country. So there is a lot of confusion as to the role of legislative houses in this country, and they are not doing what the constitution actually intended. The question of now CRA changing what Raila has just said. I think Raila is not being genuine in his about turn. He saw that the Kenyans are not going to accept the idea that some people can sit somewhere and allocate themselves a higher portion of the cake rather than more than others, and and the county is actually losing revenue rather than gaining more revenue. In what he said, what he said later is a correct position, but initially it was about BBI, it was about power, it was about having a passing of the Senate bill. CRA brought certain recommendations. The Senate is the one that actually has the revenue allocation. The proposals that they brought up were informed by the census, which in itself was flawed in certain aspect. Some of us actually contested and said this the census has always been a political weapon against some people, and I have demonstrated. If you look at the Senate, the census of 2009. The census of 1999, and then the census of 1999, the census of 1989, you will see certain, strange, kind of numbers that come out.
Yes, and definitely we've already
which doesn't seem to reflect numbers.
We've spoken about that. Yes, that's true. You've highlighted that. Maybe because I'm also bound by time. Very sorry there, Daktari. Mheshimiwa, before we completely na kabisa ukirap up this segment, Mheshimiwa, kama naweza kukuuliza pendekezo la Sakaja likifeli, lile pendekezo la Sakaja likifeli, you stand to lose. Senator, utakwenda wapi?
Kwanza I would like to clarify one point.
Naam.
That there was no change of heart on the part of Raila, Baba Raila. I think he had not been briefed properly.
Okay.
And once he got briefed properly,
na Mheshimiwa, nafikiri tunakupoteza hapo kwa sababu ya angavu. But yes,
it would be very unfortunate. What I'm saying is that heart.
Yes.
There was no change of heart. Once he got briefed, he was seized of this.
I think, Mheshimiwa, we're having problems with internet there.
Yeah?
We're not getting you clearly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, if you can conclude, Mheshimiwa.
Can you get me?
Yes, I can get you, Mheshimiwa.
All I'm saying,
yes,
that Sakaja's bill is not the final bill.
Yes.
We can still adapt to make some few amendments. But the spirit behind the whole issue is that no country should go home feeling like they are winners or losers.
Okay.
It should be a situation where it's going to be a win-win situation for all the 47 counties.
Okay.
And I want to make it very, very clear. The Senate is not a rubber stamp Senate. We are not pursuing anybody's orders. We are there to do our work, as you have seen. We are not getting any directions from anyone. only getting advices, which is welcome.
Okay.
And therefore, if anybody has any suggestion, he has the right to say and lobby that position. Otherwise, we are independent, and we have proved it. And we shall continue to prove it.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for those remarks. Thank you very much for making time as well for this program. Coming out very strongly there, saying that the Senate is actually independent and they're doing their job and they're taking propositions and proposals. They are welcoming them, but they're actually standing firm to actually work for the citizens. Daktari, if you can give us your last remarks very quickly, 20 seconds.
I think this is a 3 trillion economy, so there is no lack of revenue that can be devolved to the counties.
Yeah.
The idea that we are about 300 billion is absurd. The idea that some people are going to appropriate a lion's share of that themselves is worse than absurd. What should happen is that we should come up with a framework that works for most of Kenya or all of Kenya. And we should not have regional disparities in development. We should also look at the 85% that comes to the central government and what happens to that 85%. Is it that where we are seeing all the corruption siphoning off the revenue, or is it doing something for everyone? And are marginalized communities getting a share of that 85%? Let's not just focus on the 15%. We need to see what also happens to the 85%. So that's where the Senate and the Parliament, especially people from parliamentarians from marginalized communities and peripheral communities and communities that are considered minorities. Their focus should not be party loyalty and party shenanigans, but to bring historical injustice to an end, to bring development inequities to an end, and to ensure that those areas get equitable share of the national cake.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for making time for actually coming to our program and gracing our show on this particular segment. Definitely, it is not over. I feel with how things develop, the next week we might have another sitting to talk about, further forward movements and what actually is going to be decided as the way forward for the revenue allocation. Mheshimiwa, thank you very much. Daktari, thank you very much for making time. Have yourselves a lovely evening. And Mheshimiwa, we are expecting you on Monday for more discussions. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well, to you, our viewers, thank you very much for making time. And for those who asked their questions, thank you very much for also contributing to this particular topic. I do take my leave now. Have yourselves a lovely evening. Ma'asalam.
Ma'asalam.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation. Quote of the day.